It was all a dream. 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 It was all.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of It Was All a Dream podcast. Today's guest is the owner-operator of Cosmetic Kings. After spending 5 years working at a dealership, he decided to step out on faith and take a chance doing his own thing, opening his own shop, offering top-tier detailing services for car enthusiasts in and around the Phoenix area. Let's give a nice, warm welcome to Jerry Zapata, y'all.
Thank you, sir.
What's going on, man? How you doing this morning?
Good. And yourself?
Good. So we met through George and Jesus, the owners of the taco spot.
Yes,
I believe they were opening up their 15th location at that time.
Yeah.
And we spoke briefly about your business and your story, and I found it to be quite compelling. So that's why I wanted you to come on the show. So I definitely want to thank you for your time.
No, for sure, man. Thanks for having us here.
Most definitely. So question that I ask everybody when they come on the show is, Arizona, born and raised?
Actually, I was born in Mexico.
Okay.
Got here they brought me here when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
So since then, I just been here, so.
Siblings?
I do. I'm the oldest of four. So
Okay.
I got two sisters and then me and my brother.
Okay.
So,
okay. And as far as jobs go, what was your first job?
Man, it was crazy. I think at the time I was working at a Goodwill.
Okay.
I think I was like 16. And from there, it was funny because I was working there and it was just like one of those things where they were making me carry like these big old boxes and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's just for a 16-year-old kid, like to carry heavy boxes. It was like, it was crazy. And then after that, I took some Explorers and then went into like fast food place and then just kind of was trying to find my way on what to do, So
yeah, you were a kid just trying to figure it out, get a paycheck, get money saved up to your first car. Speaking of first car, what was your first car?
Man, it was crazy at that time. I was into old school just because my dad was into older vehicles as well.
Okay.
So I remember I was 16 and I had barely bought my first C10. So it was an old school short bed.
Okay.
It was an 82. So it was crazy, man. I was like, I had to get that truck and then I had to. And then, the dream came true. So, after that, then I was just a youngster trying to be cool at the time. But it was just, it was cool. And then I got rid of it. And then I ended up getting another daily driver. So it was.
What was it about that truck that you said that made you feel like I have to get this truck?
I don't know. I just think coming from like my parents, like my dad's background, just coming in that his dad had a classic and then he got a classic. And then it was just kind of like that row from being from my grandpa to myself. It was just like, but it was different though. Cause I think at the time it was like, they were more into Fords. And I was a Chevy guy. Okay. So we were like
clashing.
Yeah, it was just funny because they were like, don't do Chevy. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I kind of grew up with that, but eventually my pops got a Chevy and a Ford. So it just kind of like, I had a thing more for like GM. So, just kind of went from there.
No doubt. Well, let's get straight to it. It's one thing to be interested in cars. There's car salesmen. There's car mechanics, but what was it about detailing that got you intrigued as far as working for a dealership?
As a kid, I was actually introduced by cars.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was because of my dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I had always a thing for cars, man. Like I think, man, since I'm actually turning 33 this year, and it's just like since I was a kid, I had so many vehicles that I can't even count them anymore. And it was always about vehicles that it kind of introduced me to where I think I am now. So I always had a thing for cars, So just kind of went from there.
So after being at the dealership for 5 years, I'm sure you learned a lot through that tenure. What made you say, I want to do my own thing?
I just beat in there for so long, working long shifts. I met this guy down the road, and he kind of like, I think he had like a vision of what I could be doing. And I just kind of went from there, and I kind of just told him, hey, I'm ready to be a manager. So then we hit that peak of when I started doing the management, then it just 3 years in, it was just the same thing. And then one day I just woke up and I told my wife, and I was like, hey, you know what? I think it's time for me to go. And then she goes, and then she's like looking at me, and then she's like, are you crazy or what? And then like, we don't have no savings. I had barely bought a new vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
We were still living paycheck to paycheck. So she was like, what do you mean you're quitting? We got, I got kids. And then I was like, yeah, it's just I'm done. And then she's like, all right. But it was just one of those where like, you don't like, I think when you get tired of working for somebody or being there for too long, you just kind of, it just
kind of ran its course for you.
Yeah. It just kind of I just got tired, man. Like, it's just like, if I knew that I could do this for somebody, I could do it for myself.
Right.
So it just kind of went from there. So I took that first step on texting them, be like, hey, you know what? This is my last day. And it was crazy because, some of us take, you give your 2-week notice. And mine was just like that instant. I just woke up and I was like, you know what?
You woke up and said,
I'm not going to work.
I'm not going to work.
Yeah. Crazy like that.
And what did your boss say? What was the response?
He just said, thanks, man. Like, it was just like, I don't know if it was just like at that time, it was just like, he wasn't probably even expecting it because I was in there for 5 years, and he's seen me grow from becoming just a detailer, like, vacuuming the cars, doing the basic stuff, all the way to becoming a detailer that knew how to do full details, meaning shampooing, polishing, stuff like that. And then from there, it went to management. And then when I took that management, I took over a few dealerships. Like I took over Volkswagen Subaru down at Camelback.
Okay.
And then it just kind of, from there, I kind of was cool with the managers there. And then they took us across the street that it was Kia and Hyundai. So then from there, that manager just kind of became somebody else, just started controlling the whole down the street from Camelback. So,
right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, that was kind of the thing that I really wanted to do. But, it was.
Was there any more advancement that would have enticed you to say, I'm going to stick around? Or did you just feel like you reached your peak and it was just time for you to explore new things?
You know what? We did, me and that boss, we had that conversation where he had told me, like, he had kids, but he didn't see that his kids had that vision of taking that detail to the next level.
Okay.
So I kind of told him, and I was like, well, if either we could work a percentage or, we could be that guy under you, And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, let's do it. But then as how time started going, I started noticing like little funky stuff, like whatever, because I'm a man of my word, a lot of people don't take that in consideration, but I did, I feel like if I'm going to say something or if I'm going to tell you, hey, this is what I'm going to give you, I expect that, So I gave it my 100% and he was giving his like 50%,
Okay.
So it just kind of, I started seeing it just kind of started going right, so.
And how did you, as far as the funding and deciding to make a decision to step out on your own, did you have funding saved up? I know you said paycheck to paycheck. So to wake up in the morning and say, I'm not working for somebody else.
Yeah.
What was the next game plan?
You know what's crazy? I didn't have no funds, right? So I bought a detail little, it was a little trailer with a water tank and a pressure washer, which it was like only like $500, right?
Okay.
So that's all I had to my name. $500.
$500.
Yeah. And at that time, I didn't have a second. I had a second car, but I didn't have a truck, to pull the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went over to my pops and I was like, hey, like, let me borrow this truck. And he's like, yeah. So then I go pick it up and, going back. And then I had barely purchased a car. So I had to my life at that moment where I say I was going to quit my job, I did a 360. I bought that first car that I only had for a month.
Okay.
Traded it in the next day that I woke up saying that I was going to quit.
Right.
Traded it in, bought a new truck, and with that same truck, I was towing the trailer, So going from no money to, whatever I am now, making 6 figures, like, it's insane,
Yeah.
Like, not having anything, living paycheck to paycheck and only having $500 to where I am now, that's like, it's a blessing.
Did you have an idea of like, I have X amount of people that I can rely on as far as client base? Like when you were stepping away, or when you woke up and said, I'm no longer working for someone else, did you have people that you knew you could rely on that were going to be clients from the beginning to make you feel a little bit comfortable?
I mean, I did it. Like, I come from the dealership, so like this whole, working with customer base was a whole different game changer for me,
Mm-hmm.
So coming to no clients,
right?
No money,
$500 invested,
and you got rent, you got kids, you got all these responsibilities, and to be able to have that thing to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this, So it was just crazy. It was crazy to me. And then, it just, even until this day, I look back, and I'm like, damn, I was wild for taking that step. Because a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared. And I feel like I was one of them too. I was always with that fear. But, if I had to change, I have to change now, so.
Well, how did you go about securing your first customers and building that reputation initially?
So I just remember that when I first got my first client, it was like, I think I was knocking on doors and, stuff like that. And one of my customers, he became a customer. He's like, yeah, $65, for a
Were you
detail.
going through what, apartment complexes, housing developments? What was the process?
Yeah, just going through neighborhoods, houses.
Okay.
I believe the first time it was out in Queen Creek. And I went out there and, people were like, this dude's probably robbing somebody, but it was just me leaving my business cards, knocking on doors, telling people, hey, you know what, I do detail, blah, blah. And then I remember one guy's like, yeah, show me what you got. So then I'm there, just detailing. And then he's like, hey, man, like, you're good. Like, I've had other people come in and, I've hired other detailers and you know what you're doing. So then I hold him. And then from him, it just kind of started escalating to his other people, his parents, his
word
mom.
of mouth.
Yeah. So it just kind of went from there.
He was your first guest?
Yeah.
Your first client?
Yeah.
What kind of car did he have?
At the time, it was a 4-door Chevy.
Okay.
It was a big truck. So it was just like once I was in there, I was like, damn. Like, but because I was used to the dealership industry where we had small cars, but it was cool. It was the first time learning all these stuff, going through, mobile detailing to detail and stuff like that. But
one of the biggest things that you said that I don't want people to overlook is the fact that his wife got behind him, being very supportive on what his dream was and really not having an understanding of what would be next. That is really stepping out on faith and having somebody that's going to be super supportive, and having children, putting it all at risk and believing in your significant other. That speaks volumes. When we talked at the taco spot at the grand opening, you had mentioned something to me. You had told me a story about what your wife was doing in regards to her work.
Yeah.
Share that with the people in regards to
it was crazy.
How she helped get your business up some as well.
Yeah. No, it was crazy, man. Like, she kind of hold my back, and tell me that I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gave me more motivation of, You know, at first she was like questioning, but then she started being so motivated that I could do it.
Mhm.
So she was working at a fast food restaurant, and she goes, "Hey, I grabbed some of your business cards." And then like she takes a picture and she sends it to me while I'm over here knocking doors, you know. And then she's like, all the meals, all the people in the drive-through, and you know, people that were in the dining room are like, they all got a business card. I was like, girl, you're gonna get fired. Like, you know, you just can't be tossing business cards and people's meals, you know.
Right.
And she's like, if I get fired, I get fired, you know. But I believe in you, and I feel like we're gonna go to the next level. So I was like, all right. And then it's just kind of like, she even shocked me, you know. And I was like, if she could believe in me, then I could do it, you know.
Most
So
definitely.
it was wild, man. Like I just, until this day, like we talk about it, and I was like, damn, like we were wild, like, you know, like this adventure of like being self-employed. It was just, it's been crazy.
That's very admirable. Shout out to you, wifey. What's your wife's name?
Nayeli.
Nayeli, shout out to you. Need more women in the world like that to support their men like that.
Yeah.
You had also mentioned when we were talking, there was a book that it motivated you through the process as well that helped enlighten that situation as far as making the transition from not wanting to work for someone and stepping out on your own. You were going through situation as far as like, I believe it was you were losing weight at the time and you were changing your mindset. Can you speak to the facts about the book that you were reading and the things that you learned through the book?
Yeah, so this book was called Outwitting the Devil.
Okay.
It's The Secrets of Success. So on that book, I was reading, people probably are like, oh, what the hell is he reading, right? The devil. But it's just saying that we have our two thoughts, you know. We have our positive and we have our negative. So I started reading that book. I met this dude down the road and he handed out that book to me and he was like, hey, read it. Like, it's going to change your mind. And this was between where I had barely started my business and I was like, you know, still losing weight. I was just trying to, you know.
Did you start the weight loss journey before you were leaving work, or your past job at the dealership, or did that happen afterwards when you started?
So when I started the business, the weight journey started at that time.
Okay.
And you know how it started it? Because I met another client. He goes, I was peeking through the window. He's like, to see how you look. And then I was like, okay. Like, what does that mean? You know? He's like, your first impression means a lot. Like the way you have your vehicle, the way you look. And I was like, oh, okay. Like now it makes sense. So then my weight journey started getting more serious at that time. Where like, okay, my first impression has to look good, you know? So then I started losing weight. Most of all, it was not really like the gym. It was just the eating habits. The eating habits is like the number one thing, you know.
Yep.
I think I don't know if I told you, but I was one of those guys that used to go to like Filiberto's or, you know, eating 2 burritos. And you know, those things are massive.
Yeah, they are massive.
They're massive. And to think that I'm like 6'1", 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot, you know. And then like I at that point, I was just like, damn, like what am I eating, you know? So then like going to restaurants and stuff like that, and then I just kind of started changing those eating habits. So then it started the gym, working out, having a meal prep, having control over what I was eating, what I was doing, you know. And then it just went from there. It just kind of, you know, I went down to, I think the highest I was weighing was probably like almost close to 270.
Wow.
And I went back to like 180.
Wow.
So
congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you. But it was a challenge, man. Like it was a super challenge. Like I think I told you, like I would go to sleep and I was like, man, I need to eat, like almost crying, you know, because I wanted to eat. But
because you're accustomed to that. Your body's craving it.
Yeah. So being able to like, you know, put that mindset where like no is no, and you start changing that. Because if you're very strong to say no to food or whatever you have an addiction of, you can do it. But it just takes a lot of, you know, takes a lot of motivation and a lot of guts to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
And how do you feel that it affected influencing your business through the process?
So like, so when I started taking that weight journey, everything started going on. I was like, it started changing a lot where, physically, I started being more productive on the way that I was doing stuff. So like, it just gave me more motivation because, having that weight to going back to 180, it was just like, it was a whole different game changer, but, I just kind of went from there.
Yeah, you were saying like I remember you saying like your friends and family members were looking at you like, what in the world is going on with this guy?
It was funny because today is Monday, right? But
Mhm.
I see this guy over the weekend that I haven't had to see for like 2 years, right? So remember this, I took that weight journey 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So I hadn't seen him in 2 years, and he see me Saturday. And he looks at me and then he's just like observing me, looking at me. And then he goes, damn, dude, what the hell's going on with you? Are you sick? And I was like, nah, man. And then he's like, what's going on with you? And then he's like, are you doing any type of other stuff that you're not supposed to be doing?
Right.
I was like, nah, man. I was like, just eating healthy and, trying to be disciplined. And then he's like, all right. But he kind of gave me that, I don't really believe, because we're talking about about 80 pounds, and a lot of people, some of us can't even lose 5 to 10 pounds.
And you were bigger. Were you bigger like growing up as a kid as well through the process?
Nah, man. Like I feel like I was when I was really young, I think up to like 12 years old, I kind of gained a little bit of weight, but I was super skinny. Like, just I think at that one point I'd be probably until now. Actually, I was like 18 and I was like 28 in pants. I was super thin.
Mm-hmm.
Probably medium, small in shirts, and then that married life
Mm-hmm.
kind of you bounce back, and it went from there. Having my first daughter, I had a little bit of cravings, and then that was like the heaviest I've ever been. And like people would tell me, man, like my moms too, my pops, my sisters, they would be like, hey, like damn, control yourself, you're gonna have we come from a background of diabetes and just medical issues, and then I
Right.
was just like, damn, like started hitting me, and then I was like, you know what, it is true because I got 2 little ones now looking over me, so I gotta make a change in, and then I can't say anything if I'm at.
You have to lead by example.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And some of us is like we don't want to do that, but I mean you have to take those steps first before your little ones or somebody that
You care about. Mhm.
yeah, so they could see that you're doing it first,
So when you think about like your family and being an example, were there any other entrepreneurs in your family that helped inspire maybe why you decided to step out and do your own thing? Or
no. So my mom's she started doing her own housekeeping
okay,
at a very I think she was maybe in her 30s. So we kind of go back to she had her own little clientele and working for herself. My pops too, he started doing his own, he does framing. So he started doing his own thing. I saw him working 5 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, and as I started getting older, I started seeing that he was like having like the little self-contractor things, but like building homes, framing. And then it just went from there, and I was like, okay, like I saw their hustle. Like I think that's where it comes from, where like I see them
Mhm.
and being in the States, like how I told you that I got here when I was 2 years old and coming from immigrants, like they hustle, man. Like
Right.
it's crazy, it's insane. You never see them home as often. Probably 2 times out of the week, Saturday and Sunday, but that's where I got it from. I think that's like the thing where my moms and my pops were like, if you want to be somebody in life, you gotta
Do it yourself.
yeah. Because I mean, education, like I think I had mentioned it to you. I dropped out. I was
Okay.
like, it was crazy because I dropped out the second semester of high school in my senior year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you were at the finish line.
Yeah. I was at the finish line, and it was like looking back, I'm like, damn, like I was like how you're saying right now, I was at the finish line,
Mhm.
But then this was like when I was probably like 21, I was like, damn, I regret it, And then I was like, education is first, and I need something to be able to be somebody. But then I started doing my own thing, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and then boom, I hit this, and then I was like, damn, like some of us, like, don't get me wrong, education, you still have to have an education, you know,
Right.
trying to be somebody, and the way that you speak, the way that you do stuff, you know, you really do need it. But I mean, to make a business, it's a whole different game. So
Okay.
yeah, it's just kind of went from there.
So you worked for the dealership for 5 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been open as far as your own business?
So I'm going on my third year.
Okay.
This year, I believe I did it in June,
Mhm.
July. So it's going on 3 years, but it's like, so detailing, I've been doing it. Well, this year's going to be 8 years, you know?
Okay.
So I started 8 years ago with the experience, but like I said, it was from coming from the dealership to this, it's a whole different game, you know? But
Yeah. Help the people understand what sets professional detailing apart from like your basic car wash and vacuum.
yeah. So what separates us is like, we just don't go and, you know, just vacuum over whatever, you know, your mats or just wipe it down, you know, like all these car washes. You know, you run through a car wash in 2 minutes, you know, and we take an hour. Our standards it's an hour, you know, that's the minimum. We go over your mats. We do hand washing. We have our proper tools. We have our proper water softener that doesn't create any water spots, doesn't damage your paint. You know, we take all the steps and the proper way to do a detail. So that kind of separates us from, you know, all the car washes and, you know, that destroy your paint. People don't realize it, man, but it does. Like all these brushes, you know, there's tons and tons of cars that go in through that daily car wash that you don't even know. So that mud, rocks, any debris that it went in there, you're catching it in your car. So
Okay.
it's just like, we don't do that, you know. We carry our buckets. We have a bucket method where, you know, you rinse it, you wash it, you do the proper way of how to do detail.
Okay. How often do you recommend people to get a full detail?
Usually, I recommend it once or twice a year,
Okay.
just to keep your carpet, your seats, air vents, dash, just kind of like a treatment. It's just like you know, some of us get a haircut every week.
Mhm.
Some of us females get their pedicure and, you know, their
Nails
hair.
done. Yep.
So I feel like detailing, taking care of your car is like, it's the same thing. I feel like twice a year, even like with polishing, waxing, it has to be done at least 2 times a year.
Okay. And is there such thing as like a slow season when it comes to detailing, especially being in Arizona?
Yeah. You know that that's a great question, man, because I read all the time now, right?
Mhm.
Supposedly I dropped out of, you know, not figure out about school anymore, but I read and there's no such slow season because I think that's like the thing with me. I do a lot of follow-ups. So I let people know that we're still in the game. We're still doing detail, no matter if it's rainy, even if it's whatever it is, we're still in, you know. So I don't feel like I hadn't have any slow season, but you know, I've heard a lot of people that do, but I mean,
Is there different services that are offered through the process as well that you can offer to people?
Yeah, so like right now we just kind of like jumped into it. We started offering window tint and PPF, paint protection film.
Okay.
That's like those two that we added to our service. So that has been helping us out too. I think that's why another one that there's no slow season, because it's either detail or there's a PPF. Somebody bought a new vehicle, so they're trying to protect it, or somebody needs a window tint. So that's just kind of how it works.
Okay. And how has technology, you feel, changed the detailing industry?
It changed, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many of us that are trying to do it.
Mhm.
But it really takes a lot, because you're trying to pretty much, how can I say it? You're trying to like compete with everybody. And I feel like in this game, don't compete. Like, you know, you just pretty much do your own thing, you know? So, I mean, obviously there's going to have people, other detailers saying, oh, I can do it for 60. I can do it for 80. I can do it for 100, you know? But I feel like if you know your value and what you bring to your customer, there shouldn't be no, you know, no game changer on what your price is on what you got, you know?
Right.
So I feel that that's like the number one thing. And I've learned that because before I'll be like, I would fall to the customer and be like, he charged me 80. I'm like, I can do it for 70. You know?
Understood.
But now it's just like, you know what? You're going to pay this, but I'm going to provide the best quality. I'm going to get it right the first time. And, you know, let me know how we did. And, you know, it's just, you just got to make sure that when you're talking to your customer, you make them comfortable in saying that they are like, they're going to pay for that service, you know? So I think that's pretty cool on how we take care of our work.
Yeah, customer service is definitely key in your industry.
You know that I didn't really realize that. That's where all this weight journey, all this stuff comes in, and reading books, because the customer base is like your number one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like before I was like, nah, it's just detail. Like we're just detailers. Like I don't have to take that whole different thing, you know, on how to talk to customers, how to treat a customer, you know, because I come from the dealership industry. But when it hit me, we're like, basically I have to sell, you know, to be able to have that. So like the customer base, like we, you know, like I greet all my clients like, hey, how you doing? You know, some of us like, man, I went down the street and this dude like messed up my car, or, you know, and it's different. It's totally different. And I feel like you have to, like, your customer base is like really, really like your number one thing.
It has to be, especially one, with competition that's out there, and then two, the dealerships that are able to probably provide a cheaper rate. Yeah. Sometimes I would think just because of volume or being able to get products cheaper, I would think. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you know, when I was working at the dealership, man, there's so much scams in there. It's insane. Like what people like. This is like, I never brought it out because when we used to work at a self-contractors there, like some of these guys that you buy a new vehicle, you say, hey, this is what they're going to give you. This is what they're going to protect it. And this is what they're going to apply on your vehicle. It's nothing but lies, man. And it's nothing but lies. And people really do like feel like, oh, he's right. But we don't know.
Right.
We don't know. So like, I feel like when I started doing that, I'm like, damn, like really people are paying thousands and thousands. Imagine you make thousands of one car. Imagine if you sell 100, 200 cars a month. It's insane, man. Like this world and this industry of dealerships, detailing, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, sometimes being sold a fairy tale through the process because of lack of knowledge. And I always feel susceptible to being a victim when I go into a place. Like, I'm just going to get an oil change. Next thing you know, they say I need to check X, Y, and Z and all of this extra money that I have to spend in order to get my car up to par. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not what I came here for. I don't even have that money to do this right now. You know?
And I feel like when I remember I had this customer, she bought her new Buick.
Okay.
And she comes in and she's like, it's brand new, like fresh off the lot. Only had like 100 miles. Mm-hmm. She's like, I want a ceramic coating to protect the paint. I don't want it to get swirly. I want to protect it from the sun damage, all this and that, right? I get to my shop and I'm like, I hit it with these lights that I have for like professional use. And I was like, holy crap. Like this thing is like never like, it's a brand new vehicle. So you're thinking that the paint is spotless, but no, like there is some defects on that paint and you have to get it proper to apply that ceramic coating. So as I started going, I was like it's crazy because when you buy something new, you expect for the paint to be brand new, you know, and how you're saying right now, like, you know, you just kind of fairy tales, like, you know, you just kind of go based on whatever they're telling you, you know, and it's just like, but you have another professional that does it for a living. I'm like, don't think so. And it just kind of goes from there. And then like once I point it out, they're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, well, should I cancel the warranty that I bought for my paint? I was like, yeah, that would be your best option to do it, because we give our customers warranties as well. So
That's
like,
nice.
yeah, so we give them warranty. We give them the whole 9 yards of whatever we do and the way we're going to take care of the vehicles. So I think that's like the number one thing that we give our clients and our customers.
That's super cool. What service, because you had mentioned that you guys do, when we were talking about downtime, you said that you had added being able to do tinting now as well. What service do you wish you could offer that you can't offer yet, that you may be working on or adding to your ensemble as far as services go?
You know what? Like, I've had these ideas where like it's either wrapping a vehicle, like a whole different color changing, or it could be accessories. Like, that really caught my eye. Working in cars, like you never know. A client might want accessories, like, probably, stereo, or like a different type of thing, like an audio, or some lights, some dash cameras, stuff like that I was seeing that that would be kind of cool to add, but I mean, as of right now, I just trying to focus on that first.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself adding like your own product line, like air fresheners or anything like that?
So actually we're making our own air freshener.
Oh, nice.
We're making that one. So it's crazy that you brought that up, because we just literally just kind of like made a big order of it.
Nice.
We're probably in the next month, we're probably going to have that. But yeah, it's just, I do want to do it, because it's like, because now that we added those services, like, when you add ceramic coating to protect your vehicle's paint, like, people don't want to run off to a car wash, so they want to use the proper chemicals and the things that we have. So I was just like, I had that question asked a lot, so I was like, it would be a good idea to add that to our building, to our waiting room, to have that in display for all of our clients. So
that's nice. That's nice. Well, now we've reached the part of the show that's called,
and if you don't know, now you 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 know.
Okay, this is the part of the show where I had the opportunity to speak with one of your employees, Gonzalo, one of your detailers, and he had a few questions for you. So we had the opportunity to get to know you better. You ready?
I got it.
Okay. Gonzalo asked, since working in the detailing industry, what is the worst car you've had to detail and why?
Oh, man. I had this client, we're talking about, it was a 21 round, right?
Okay.
Man, I still remember like if it was yesterday. It was this client calls me. He's like, hey, I got a 21 round that I want a full detail. So, right, we get there, we do our stuff, you start removing floor mats, blah, blah. And as soon as I'm vacuuming, I look up to, I started on the driver's side, and I feel like something touched me, right? So then I look up and I look like this, like to my right, and I see the thing of the seat, and it's full, the whole thing full of boogers.
Hold up. Boogers.
Yeah. The whole thing. And then the more that I started looking, it was all over, like where his brake pad, the brake and the gas.
Yeah.
Like all that underneath, the whole side, the whole seat, everything, the motor of the seat, like everything underneath was full of it. We're talking about chunks of boogers. And I was just like, and I had to stop, man. I stopped. I had to throw up. I couldn't do it. I was just like,
was this while you were working for yourself?
Yeah. That was like the worst one since I've worked detailing. That was the worst one. And just to even think about it right now, it's just like, it's gross, man. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I was out of it. I was just like,
What type of conversation do you have with someone after they bring you a vehicle, such as like someone's dropping it off and you're just like, okay, I got it, blah, blah, blah. They ask you, they want the full service and you're just like, okay, vehicle's here. Then you go in and you see the aftermath and it's too late because they're gone already.
Yeah.
And they're just expecting to come back to a pristine vehicle.
Yeah. Sometimes I've learned that you have to check it first before that happens, right?
Right.
And before I wasn't doing that. And I was like, damn, like, should I text him? Or should I just leave it on the table and just suck on my, and then just kind of like detail it and see how it goes. So then I started doing that, and then I was just like, damn, like from now on, I'll make sure I'm opening these doors and making sure how they look, man, because that like time traumatized me. We're like, damn,
I don't never want to run across this again.
Yeah, man, it was bad. It was
no
really
doubt.
bad.
The next question he had for you is, what do you like to do outside of work? Like, what kind of hobbies do you have?
What I like to do outside of work, I got kids,
Mhm.
so I dedicate myself with my daughter, my son. They like to play sports.
Okay.
So like usually we started having these picnics on Sundays.
Okay.
So like it was already like that thing where every Sunday we go. So like on the weekends, I dedicate myself to them. We usually play ball, basketball, football, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. Once you're a family man, things
Right.
start changing. But
You don't have any hobbies? You don't play any video games?
I don't, man. I feel like I was I never played video games. I think at that time when it was probably like in the 2000s, I had a Nintendo 64, but that was about it, man. Like I never had video games. I was more into like I was back again. We were in the
building
car,
and fixing things.
yeah. So like the car thing, that was like my number one thing. The hobby that I really do like I think that was the question that like drag racing.
Okay.
Anything that has to do with drag racing, anything that has to do with, getting off the line and just have that feeling, like that's like my number one thing, it's just drag racing. I've got in trouble a couple of times for
Yourself?
that. But yeah, that's what I like the most. Besides basketball.
No
Basketball
doubt.
is like my number one, my second thing
Okay.
of what I like
Phoenix
to do.
PD, he's a changed man. Just letting you know. He's a changed
Yeah.
man. And the last question Gonzalo had for you is that you had mentioned your wife works with you as well.
Yeah.
And she helps manage things. He says, how do you and your wife manage to separate work life and personal life when you're both involved in business together?
It's really challenging because you as a business person, or you have to see that person as a regular employee.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of makes it hard because the way that you have to talk to them. So it's just like we look at each other and we're like and even until now, like we'll go home and I'll give her like this, like a book or something, or I'll send her a text message like, hey, this is what we do. And then she sits there and she's like, okay. But, it's just kind of like, it starts from there. But like once, like we talk about it a lot, like, work is work. Like let's not mix our emotions with work and our personal life, because that could really damage, your personal life and your business life.
Because so that way you don't bring it home, because it's just like you guys got to wear two different masks, so to speak, because you work together all day and then you clock out together.
Yeah, and I've had also that question too, where like, damn, you see her every day, dude, like because some of us, we had two different jobs, so if the wife goes work one way and the husband goes works another way.
Gives you time to miss them.
Yeah. So like us working together, and don't get me wrong, like there's sometimes that I don't see her because either she stays at the shop or like she goes with the kids and stuff like that. But we managed to kind of separate, work and personal.
Okay. Have you considered adding any new locations, or where you at with that?
You know what? Actually, that was like one of the topics that me and Gonzalo talked, and obviously I talked with my wife about it. I do want to do like a second location, but that would be in the later future, just because I was like, I could probably deal with Scottsdale. I think that's like what I'm dragging towards, like
Okay.
Scottsdale area, where like I could be like on the main road and I could just have nothing but glass, where people are watching us do all these type of vehicles, you know.
Right.
But obviously, that is like that. If I want to do something, that would be that step of taking to do a second location.
Scottsdale, he's coming.
For
He's
sure.
coming, Scottsdale. And what has been the most rewarding part of running a car detailing business for you?
You know, being able to do your own arrangements, your scheduling, personal life, everything just kind of like pretty much it's just different because now you can do whatever you want, because that's a lie. People say, "Oh, I want to own my own business because you know I don't want to deal with it," but it's a lie. But being able to have time for your kids, time for yourself. If you want to grab a vacation, you go ahead and take it. Stuff like that. And then obviously if you have a team member or your team behind your back and that you can rely on and, you know, make it a lot easier for yourself, then, you know, you can kind of take some time off and kind of go from there.
That financial freedom is a beautiful thing.
It is, man. Like that was like my number one thing, where financial freedom, I have that word at my house where it says financial freedom. It's like I have to, like, I don't know why, like I have to, like it doesn't even really matter if I become billionaire or millionaire, you know. It's just like the financial freedom is like your number one thing. So it's good.
What advice would you give to someone looking to start their own car detailing business?
Just to have faith, have that thing where like just fight for it, because I feel like that's what you have to do in order to you become who you are or what you want in life. Like you have to stick to that plan, because if you don't, then you're like I only got one client, I only got two, I only got nothing today, or you're off for almost 3 days. But you have to stick to that plan for you in order to be that person.
Okay. Well, Jerry, I want to thank you for your time, and for all those that are watching. If you need a little bit of TLC for your vehicle, definitely check out Cosmetic Kings. My guy, Jerry Zapata. Again, appreciate your time. Anything you want to leave the people with?
Thank you, man. No, if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, it's Cosmetic Kings. We have our website too as www.com, cosmetickkingsaz.com.
Okay.
And yeah, man, that's all I gotta say.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate your time, man. Until next time, people.
All right.
We out.